YouTube. So Anu, you can do the invocation. I don't see Bhunaji, so you can do the invocation.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Harihi Om.
Okay, so good evening and welcome back. We will continue our discussion of the current topic, which is Nidithyasana. So before we get started, let's do some chanting. So I would request Anu to chant verse 32 to 37. That is the Nidithyasana topic.
Dehanyatvaname janma jarakarshalayadayaha Shaptadi vishayai sangaha Nirindriyatayanacha Amanastvaname dukkhaha Amanastvaname dukkha Ragadvesha bhayadayaha Aprano hyamanashubhraha Ityadi shruti shasanat Nirguno nishkriyo nityaha Nirvikalpo niranjanaha Nirvikaro nirakaraha Nityamuktoऽस्mi nirmalaha Ahamakashamat-sarvam Bahiranthargatoಚ್yutaha Sada sarvasamasiddhaha Nissango nirmalochalaha Nityashuddha-vimuktaikam Akhandanandamadvayam Satyam jnanamanantam yat Param brahmahame tat Evam nirantarabhyasta Brahmaivasmiti vasana Haratya vidya vikshepan Roga nivarasayanam.
Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you.
So we can record this, Anu. You can chant the whole Atmabodha and record. This itself is a good meditation.
Sure, I'll practice a little more and
Yeah. That's fine. Once we complete this, you can record and we can create a cheat sheet, because this would be a cheat sheet for the Upanishad study.
Sure.
So by June, we can cover this book, Atmabodha. But let's have some good discussions because these are extremely needed for our Upanishad study. So I promised to start Upanishad this year. So we will start from September, we will start Upanishads. And during summer, we can have a few satsang to clarify any questions or anything in the Atmabodha. So that's the plan. So the current topic we are dealing right now is Nidithyasana. From verse 32, it started. So let's have a 5-minute discussion on Nidithyasana. So rather than me speaking, can any one of you or collectively can we just discuss what is Nidithyasana, the importance of Nidithyasana, and where exactly it fits in the whole scheme of Vedanta? First of all, under which step, because if you take the Vedanta, The Vedanta has two major steps. The first step is called yoga, and the second step is called jnana. And why do we need Vedanta? We are not studying Vedanta to gain mastery of a subject. Why we study physics is we wanted to understand the subject. It is for the sake of knowledge we are studying typically a subject. And that's why in Western world, the word philosophy came in. The word philosophy means something, right? Phileo Sophia. What does that mean? Anybody know?
Love for knowledge.
Love for knowledge. Here, it's totally different. In Indian tradition, you won't see a word equivalent to philosophy. Even though people call it as yoga philosophy or Vedanta philosophy, you won't see that word in our scriptures. Our scriptures uses a different name to quote or to tag a school. Do you know what it is?
Darshana.
Darshana. What does that? It literally means?
Vision.
It's a vision. It's a vision of the truth. Look at the name. It's so apt and it is so relevant. So the vision of the Vedanta or the goal of the Vedanta is not to make me a scholar. Even yoga. So whether it is Sankhya, Yoga, Vedanta, Mimamsa, Nyaya or Vaisheshika, whatever is the school, the goal of that school is not to make me a scholar. It is, I'm not learning this to become a PhD in Vedanta or to score an A plus in Vedanta. That is not the case. I'm studying Vedanta to know myself. That is the goal. And why do I need to know myself? I want freedom. Freedom from all sufferings. And any living being, whether it is a unicellular organism to the most advanced human being, their goal of life, even genetically programmed, is to get away from all the sufferings. We talked about that experiment, famous experiment, where if you put sweet water and vinegar in a glass, and they observe the movement of amoeba, and they could see that the amoeba is moving towards sweet. So even a unicellular organism without much programming, it's genetically programmed to move away from suffering. So being the most advanced being of the creation known to us, the human being's ultimate goal of life is to gain freedom from all sufferings. And the goal of the Vedanta is a roadmap or a guide or a means to get me there. So the goal of the Vedanta, the ultimate Purushartha or the Parama Purushartha of the Vedanta is moksha. Moksha is nothing but freedom from all the sufferings. And freedom from the suffering is achieved only by knowing me. And if you remember, if you know, in the 18th chapter, I believe that it is 66th verse of the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells, Sarva dharman parityajya mameka sharanam vraja. It's a very popular verse of the Gita. It tells like, go beyond all the other purushartha, because a typical human being will seek what? Dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So if you seek artha, it implies that I'm not fully secure right now. Even if I get something, it is not going to make me completely secure. Kama means happiness. I may seek happiness. That means I'm not fully happy at this point of time. I may seek dharma because I want to earn some credit, because dharma is going to earn me punya. When I do the right thing, I earn some punya, which is going to give me some good experience. So whether it is dharma, artha or kama, that is not the ultimate purushartha. That is why the moksha is called the ultimate purushartha. So that's why Krishna said, Sarva dharman parityajya, go beyond. It means don't abandon. That's not what it means. It tells, go beyond all the other purusharthas and seek me. and I will free you from all the sufferings. So this is the goal. And this goal can be achieved because if ignorance is the problem, we always talk about this. The solution is the knowledge. Without knowledge, you cannot solve the ignorance. And Vedanta is that knowledge. Vedanta is that means of knowledge. Vedanta is going to make me free from all sufferings. And how can you use Vedanta? How you use the scripture as a means of knowledge? They give us 3 steps there. So within the path of knowledge itself, there are 3 aspects. The first aspect is known as Shravanam. Second is known as Mananam. And the third is called Nididhyasanam. So can we pause for a second? Can we pause for a second and try to understand what is Shravanam, what is Mananam, and what is Nididhyasanam? I know that I myself talked about this hundreds of times. So why don't you think? Why don't you think and tell me what is Shravanam? See, think about from that global context. You don't know yourself and you're trying to understand yourself. Remember that lion cub story? The lion doesn't know that it is a lion. It thinks that it's a sheep. So can you apply these 3 techniques and explain in each step what exactly is to happen?
So Rajaji, let me try applying it.
Yep.
So Shravanam is when the lion cub, who is growing up with the sheep, comes in contact with the lion, with the actual lion, and that lion tells him that, look, you're actually a lion, and shake off your sheep instinct.
Good.
So when that cub lion listens to that lion, that process of listening is Shravanam.
Correct.
And so that's that's the first part, listening to something. Mananam is internalizing it, is processing it internally. Thinking about what the other lion said, that and then questioning oneself that, can it really be possible that I don't have any limitations?
And looking
can it really be possible that
at the water or the mirror to remove any doubts.
Looking at the water.
Yep.
And then I think Nididhyasanam is really the final step where your contemplation, your reflection takes the form of realization of the truth, and then internalizing it to an extent that you are actually living and enacting yourself like a lion. You're conducting yourself like a lion and not like a sheep anymore.
Right. So now the question is, if there is only Shravanam, what is going to happen? What is the problems?
Not thorough. You're not going to change.
You're not going to benefit.
Yes, that's the point. And if the doubts are not removed, I'm not convinced with that knowledge. Again, it won't benefit.
Mm-hmm.
But even if a cognitive understanding, even if an understanding that I'm a lion, why do you need Nididhyasana?
That's when you get benefit of the knowledge.
Fully benefit.
No, even otherwise, because the lion went up to the river and it saw that, okay, I'm a lion.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, so the Shravanam and Mananam, it is going to tell me that I'm this lion. Then why do you need, why am I saying that you need Nididhyasana?
Because that what will allow him to act like a lion.
Yeah, right. And also the habitual thinking. What is the conventional experience? Even though I just knew that I'm something else, this habitual thinking, which was created years after years, means I was giving another example, if you remember. When you look at the sun, all of a sudden, the sun is moving from east to west. And when you go to a beach, don't you know that sun cannot set? But what is the language we are using?
Sun is setting.
setting.
And what is our experience of the earth? Stationary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that I'm not logically convinced? Isn't it that I don't know it? No. It is called viparita bhavana because the transactional experience contradicts with the actuality. So how do I remove that? Because by default, my thought is earth is flat. Earth is stationary. Sun is moving around the earth. How do I change that? Even if I know the truth, I need to reinforce through repeated thinking to get out of this habitual vasanas. And that's why nididhyasanam is very important. And I got an interesting question. What is nididhyasanam? Again, the word nididhyasanam is derived from the word dhyayi. What is dhyayi? Dhyanam, dhyayi.
Meditation.
Meditation. It's a special kind of meditation. That's it. So a prefix is added, ni, to dhyayi. Dhyayi means it's a verbal, it's a Sanskrit construct. So the word dhyayi is prefixed with ni and asana. Asana means seat. So you're sitting and contemplating upon your own true nature. You're trying to reinforce your thinking in such a way that you try to remove your habitual thinking. That's what is nididhyasana.
So Rajeshji, isn't there one challenge in the process that if the the Vedic knowledge is not aligned with transactional thought process, then it is going to take some amount of repetition for you to really make a habit out of the Vedic knowledge?
Absolutely. It is going to take a lot of time. And imagine, I just wanted to make it very clear. Let's say that, let me take myself as the example. I know that my mind is not 100% pure. I know that my mind is not 100% stable. With this mind, if I try to do Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, to a certain extent, I can understand theoretically from the scriptures what is there. To a certain extent, I can logically be convinced because this portion of the Vedanta is thoroughly, means very solid logically. Nididhyasana, when I am in that deep meditation, yes, I've experienced that a little bit. But the moment I come out of this, what happens? The mind is going to function based upon that strong samskaras it has. So unless and otherwise you purify the mind, what is going to happen? The mind is going to go back, whatever way you train it. So it is extremely important that the mind is sufficiently clean. The other day, Gina brought up an interesting question. 100% of mind, you cannot clean it. 100% of the mind, you cannot have control it. But there is a threshold. You can say that 80%. I'm just making it up. It's called, means escape velocity is what? Like beyond a certain speed you go, you are going to break the gravity. That's it. So like that, if the mind is sufficiently clean, right, and sufficiently stable, you might be able, you will be able to go to the next level. So all karma yoga, upasana yoga cannot be skipped. And these three, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. So now you may ask, why should I practice Nididhyasanam now? My mind is not pure. My mind is not calm. But try to practice Nididhyasanam a little bit. I mean, we can do one or two practices. Means, let me talk to Gina. We can try to do a little bit more practices here. You will see that it is amazing, amazingly beautiful meditation. So that's the whole idea. So one thing you may have to do is you may have to make your mind sufficiently quiet for a few moments. For a few moments, not much, like 10 seconds or 20 seconds without anything. And once you get out of that, because while you are in that quietude, don't think that I am Brahman, I am Atman. No, then you won't get it, because then the mind is not pure, because it has another chittavritti. Try to experience a state where there is no thoughts or nothing. The mind is sufficiently quiet. For that, you may have to do the relaxation meditation, concentration meditation. And once it is sufficiently quiet, no external thoughts are disturbing you. After the meditation, look at what was the state. So last week we talked about so many attributes, right? We saw asangaha. So if attachment is my problem, think about the attachment. Means contemplate upon that, right? I'm so much attached to my daughter, or I'm so much attached to my country, or I'm so much attached to this particular food. Contemplate upon that. What exactly is getting attached to the food, or who is getting attached to the daughter? My body likes food. It's a taste. So it is my body. And am I the body? No, because I am somebody who has a body. So I can say that my body likes sweets. That's it. So once you contemplate upon that, it is going to give you a lot of strength, a lot of possibilities. We will continue these discussions, but this is not a topic you can casually discuss and go. It needs some contemplation and understanding. That's why I'm trying to discuss this in different angle so that all of you are clear about that. So let's cover the 3 verses for today. So let's start with verse 35. And could you chant?
Ahamaakashamatsarvam bahirantargatochyutah sada sarvasamassiddhah nissango nirmalo chalah.
Again, beautiful verse. Actually, let's contemplate. One thing I told you earlier is, if it is nidithyasanam, how that is going to work. It is what exactly you see. You see the first person pronoun, right? The first person pronoun is what you are going to see. So here Shankaracharya tells what? Aham, I. Akashavat sarvam. What is akasha?
Oh.
Space.
Space.
Yeah. What is the characteristics of space?
Mm,
Where is the boundary of the space?
huge,
Yeah,
infinite.
boundless.
Boundaryless. So when I'm thinking about me, the habitual understanding of me, what is my understanding?
I'm limited.
Limited with
And I'm bound.
I am spatially constrained. Where exactly is the boundary of me?
My body.
Body.
My body.
My physical. Yeah.
Right. So you may ask me the sensation. When I touch a table, you don't get a sensation. But when you touch your body, you get the sensation. Why?
Because you're confined here.
That is the extent of your neural, the actual nerves. That's it.
You are not the body. You're not the table. You're just
Correct.
the body.
Your means that is where, for example, if the sensor is there, it is going to sense something. And the scope of the sensor is the limit of my body. That's it.
Yes. Yes.
Technically speaking, if you can extend, put a nerve from the computer to your brain, theoretically, I'm just imagining like a science fiction. Then somebody touches the computer, you feel the sensation. We talked about all these conditions, right? Because how the nervous system fools you. What is the greatest scientific discovery that proves this factor?
Phantom limb.
Phantom limbs, a classic example. So you can read the book, A Brief Tour of Human Consciousness by Dr. Ramachandran. You can see hundreds of examples like this in that book. So I am sitting and contemplating on the fact that what? Aham akashavat sarvam. I am all pervading, because the limitation is for my body, physical body. So the habitual understanding is that I am this much only. But understand that, truly speaking, who am I? I am the Atma, and that Atma is all pervading. And then he tells Behir Andar Gataha Achyutaha. So he tells Behir means outside, Antar means inside, Gataha means filled. So this truth, the consciousness, it is all pervading and it is inside me, it is outside me. Think about a pot. This is a very good example in the Vedanta. So a pot, there is a space inside that pot. So you can see that the space inside the pot seems to be limited. But is that the limitation of the space, or is that the limitation put forth by that pot? Because there is only one space. When you put that space, it appears that that space inside the pot is separate from the overall space, but really speaking, there is only one space. So like that, there is only one Atma in the entire universe. And when a body reflects the Atma, you get a feeling of individuality. And that feeling is not completely illusionary, right? That is very important, because some people say that Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, the world is illusionary, so you can ignore it. The word Mithya is not illusionary. The word Mithya is relatively to reality. There is a difference. I see a lot of people confusing people saying that the word is illusionary. The word is relatively real. So that is why the three orders of reality we need to understand. And if the world was illusionary, right? When you take the example of that rope and snake, the snake is illusionary because there is no existence, real existence for the snake. That is why it is pradiphasikam, not vyavaharikam. But the world is not pradiphasikam, it is vyavaharikam, meaning relative reality. So that is why, yes, I do have a relative existence here, but outside of this time and space, I will continue to exist, but my body will not continue to exist. This is the biggest truth. So that is why Behir Andar Gataha. And what is the characteristics of this consciousness? Another adjective is given. Achyutaha. What is Achyuta? You heard somebody's name as Achyuta. What is Achyuta? Chuti means what?
Decay.
Decay or erosion. Achyuta means
Cannot be.
one without any decay. That's a beautiful name, right? So everything in the universe is subjected to change. Remember, in the Gita 8th chapter we were studying, even the Brahmaji is subjected to change. But there is only one thing in this universe which is not subjected to any change. That is consciousness. That is why it is known as Achyuta. Now, when you look at Vishnu Sahasranama, you hear this term. You know why it is being used? Exactly this reason. It's not randomly picked up words used in the Sahasranama. So any Sahasranama will have three types of names. One is a set of names representing the absolute reality, a set of name representing the universal form of the God, a set of name represents a specific aspect of the God. So if you take Vishnu Sahasranama, there will be names like Achyuta, even there are so many names, right? Bhuda Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. Such names are names that represents the absolute reality, the Parabrahman. And then you will see some names which is representing the totality of the universe. For example, you will see Vishwam. Vishwam means the manifested universe. And then you see some names which are particular to that avatara, like specifically, if it is Shiva, you will see some characteristics of Shiva. If you see Devi, you will see some characteristics of Devi. This is how it goes. But the idea is it refers to the absolute reality. So here coming back, I'm sitting and contemplating. See, I am aham, I am like space, I pervade everywhere, filled inside and outside. And also I am, what is my characteristic? Truly speaking, I am not subjected to any decay. And then he tells, Sada sarvasama. Sada means always. Sarvasama means always remains equal. There is no change. There is no change. That's a big word. There is sarvasama, always remains the same. Everything else is subjected to change. Kalo jagat bhakshaha. That is what Shankaracharya himself was talking about in the Shiva Ksamaparada Stotram. Kalo jagat bhakshaha means the time is the eater of the world. Everything is subjected to change. That is the only changeless law. But there is one thing which is not subjected to any change at any point of time. We heard that, right? Even the kalpas may come and go, the cycles may come and go, the universes may come and go, but the underlying reality, it is going to stay the same. And that is why we call it as Satyam. Satyam definition is Trikala Abadidam Satyam. That which is not subjected to change in the 3 periods of time is Satyam. In the past, in the present, in the future, it is the same. So Sada Sarvashama Shuddha, it is pure. You cannot taint that at all. It is pure because it is not subjected to change. It cannot be, it won't go impure at all. And then he said, Nisango Nirmalo Achalaha. Sangha means attachment. Nisanga means it is not dependent upon anything else for its existence. Right? The golden ornament is dependent upon gold for its existence. The universe is dependent upon something else for its existence. But I, the true I, the Atma, is not subjected to anything. It is not dependent upon anything for my existence. That's what is highlighted by the word Nisanga. Nirmala. Mala means impurity. Nirmala means
Pure.
pure. No impurity at all. That is what it is. And finally, Achalaha. Chala means, Chalanam means what?
Movement.
Movement. Achala means,
No movement.
so the absolute reality cannot move. What does that mean?
Everywhere.
Changeless.
Everywhere. You're everywhere.
Yeah,
right?
it's everywhere. So I can move from this room to another room. Why?
Because
Because you are not in that room.
Exactly. So can you tell one place where the absolute reality is
not there.
not there? So it cannot move. In Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, Krishna tells, right? Nityaha sarvagataha sthanu achaloyam
Sanatana.
sanatanaha. Remember that's exactly the same thing. Nityaha sarvagataha sthanurachaloyam sanatanaha. And 2nd chapter, we studied this a lot. Krishna tells, right? Avinashitu tatsaru tadvithim ena sarvam idam tadam vinasham avyasyasya nakaschit kartum arhasi. This reality, that which perverts everywhere, it is not subjected to any destruction. Vinasham avyasyasya. Nobody can be the cause of the destruction of this absolute reality. And when commenting upon this, Shankaracharya writes, even Ishvara cannot destroy this reality. So that much stable it is. So this verse is very beautiful. Let's hear one more time and then let's go to the next verse. Anu, could you chant this one more time? Let me share.
Rajesh ji, I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Earlier we were talking about that Yata Kasho Rishikeshaga, right? So when we talked about space, we mentioned that it is all pervading or omniscient. So here when we meditate, are we using we are referring to the same thing, right?
Absolutely.
Even though Antarmukha meditation also refers to the outside space where Bhagwan is there, all pervading.
Right. There is a difference, right? So when we were talking about,
you're looking at a different angle in this perspective.
Correct. The difference is at that time you were thinking about the nature of Ishvara, our absolute reality. And now this verse is reinforcing that Ishvara is you are.
You are okay. Thou art you. Okay.
Yeah. Excellent. So could you chant, Anu? Just when you look, chant this, just try to, this is not very difficult Sanskrit. Aham akashavat sarvam behir antargatochutaha sada sarva samashuddhu nissango nirmalo achala. This is such a simple Sanskrit. This can be used for our normal meditation, not even nidithyasana. It is very, very good. Could you chant, Anu, please?
अहमाकाशमत्सर्वं बहिरन्तर्गतोच्युतः सदा सर्वसमसिद्धः निस्सङ्गो निर्मलोऽचलः.
So now let's try to understand what exactly is Amai. So let's listen to verse 36.
नित्यशुद्धो विमुक्तैकम् अखण्डानन्दमद्वयम् सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं यत् परं ब्रह्माहमेव तत्.
Again, the same idea, again repetition. Nidithyasana means repetition. So let's try to understand. It tells Nitya Shuddha Vimukta Eka Akhanda Nitya Muktya Vimuktekam Nitya Shuddha Vimukta Ekam. Nityam. What is Nityam means?
Right.
Eternal. Right? It's always there. It's all related. If you contemplate upon that, you will get it. If something is there which has no beginning, Gita tells, Najayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhuktva bhavita vana bhuyaha. And he tells, Ajaha, that which is not born. Ajo nityaha shwashwataha. Ajo nitya shashwatoyam purane nahanyate hanyamane sharire. This is again. So nityam, shuddham, pure. We already talked about that. It is the most purest. Nobody can taint it. Then nitya shukta vimuktam. Vimuktam means ever free. Everything else is not dependent upon something. This is completely independent. This is not dependent upon anything, and it is ever free. Ekam. Ekam means one. Nitya vimukta vishuddha ekam. Ekam means one. There is only one reality. That's it. And what is akhandam? Akhandam means what? Khandam means what?
Cut.
Yeah, khandam means pieces or a portion. Akhandam means it cannot be separated. You cannot separate it. Think about this for a second.
So the Akhanda Bhajan and all, when they say, that means continuously.
Unbroken bhajan. Akhanda Sahasranama Yajna means what? You take a number, maybe 1 lakh or 10 million or whatever it is. That much time you won't break it. That's it. So break means what? You're cutting, let's say that you're taking a pen and cutting it into two. Why it is possible? When you cut, what happens? This will go in between, there is space. In the case of Atma, it is impossible. Whatever you take to cut is Atma, whatever cutting is Atma, space is Atma. Because Atma is the existence that gives everything. So it is impossible to cut. It is impossible to break. No way. That's it. So Nitya Shuddha Vimukta Ekam Akhandam, and the nature of the Atma is Anandam. Every source of happiness, it comes from this Atma. We heard that. Advayam. Dvayam means what?
Duality.
Dual. Advayam means
Non-dual.
non-dual. So Ekam Eva Adhyutiyam. So when I say that I have one body, that body has hand is different from leg, Leg is different from face. But in the case of Atma, there is no such parts. Everything is same. Non-dually one. That is why it is qualified like that. There is no two in that. There is only one uniform Atma, which is everywhere. You see why Schrodinger and such scientists went so aesthetic after reading this? This is the ultimate. This is the ultimate human being can think about God. One and non-dually one. Ekameva dvitiyam. Eko devaha sarva bhutandare atma. So we'll see that in the Upanishads. There is only one Atma. It pervades everywhere. Isha vasyamidam sarvam. Yat kincha jagatyam jagat. Entire universe is pervaded by one reality. Right? It's so, think about this. It's big. Oh my God. Yeah. Na sato vidyate bhavu. Na bhavu vidyate sataha. Upayor apidrashtondas tanayor tattvadarshibhi. Gita. There is no decay for the absolute reality. And there is no real existence for the relative reality, because the relative reality exists because of the absolute reality. Think about this. It is mind-blowing. So, Ekam, Advayam, and then he tells Satyam Jnanam Anantam. This is a literal copy of the Upanishad. So there is one Upanishad called Taittiriya Upanishad. In that Taittiriya Upanishad, God cannot be defined, but the Upanishads makes an attempt. The Upanishad defines God, try to define the God through the finite words. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. It's a very popular statement. You might have heard of this. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. When we study the Taittiriya Upanishad, we'll take like 2-3 days to study the depth of this meaning. So today we'll just go with it. What is Satyam? You may say truth, but the definition of Satyam per the Upanishad literature is Abadidam Satyam, that which is not subjected to change, that which is not subjected to negation, that which remains true always. And that is what is known as Paramarthika Satyam, the absolute truth. And there is only one absolute truth, which is Atma, which is Brahman, which is reality. Call it God, call it whatever by the name, but that is what we are. I am. So that is what it is. Satyam, Jnanam. And what is the nature of that reality? It is consciousness. Jnanam here means consciousness. So the nature of the absolute reality is consciousness, because the consciousness is not an attribute of anything else. The consciousness is the nature of the absolute reality. And what is the next characteristics? Anandam, infinite. It is not finite. It is infinite. Infinite means it is not conditioned by space. It is not conditioned by time. It is not conditioned by objectivity. Not conditioned by time means today it is there, tomorrow it won't be there. Even Brahmaji and the Brahmaloka is subjected to change, time. It is not subjected to space. So it is here, it is not there. No spatial constraints, no time. It is beyond the time and space. And the time and space, in fact, exist in it. It's beautiful definition. Swami Sarvapriyananda has a very good talk. I believe that it's God explained or something like that. He has a beautiful talk on this subject. You can listen to YouTube in that. This is a beautiful topic. That discussion was based on this topic, and it is from the Taittiriya Upanishad. So, Nityam Shuddham Vimuktam Satyam Jnanam Anantam. And what is the conclusion? Yat Param Brahmam Aham. So I am that Brahman. I am that Brahman with the following characteristics. And what are the characteristics? It is Nityam, Shuddham, Vimuktam, Ekam, Akhandam, Anandam, Advayam, Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam. 10 characteristics he tells. So beautiful. So let's chant that verse one more time and then go to the next one.
Nityashuddha-vimuktaikum Akhandanandamadvayam Satyam Jnanamanantam Yat Param Brahmahameva Tat.
Param Brahmaham Eva Tat. Indeed, I am that Brahman. Look at the first person pronoun. It is reinforcing me that I am not body, I am not mind. If you take, for example, if you take all these characteristics, Nityam, is my body Nityam? Absolutely not. It is not Shuddham. It is not Vimuktam because it has attachment. It is not Ekam. It is not Akhandam. It is not pure Anandam. It is not Advayam. None of these characteristics belongs to the body. Excellent. So let's go to the next verse. Can we do the verse 37, Anu?
Evam nirantarabhyasta brahmaivasmiti vasana haratya vidya vikshepan roga nivarasayanam.
So now he is telling us. So for the what needs to be contemplated in the Nidithyasana is explained, and then he is just wrapping it up. He said, Evam, this, right? This Nirandara Abhyasa. You need to practice this contemplation continuously for a sufficient period of time. Every day you need to meditate upon this or contemplate upon this. What? Evam Nirandara Abhyasam. What exactly? Brahmaiva asmi. I am that Brahman. I am not the body. So I am going to contemplate upon this again and again so that I am getting out of this habitual thinking. So I am getting out of this habitual thinking by Nirandara Abhyasa. So he uses a word, right? Brahma Asmi iti vasana. So he tells to develop a vasana. What is vasana?
Any repeated action?
It's a technical term used in Vedanta. You say, I have a vasana for singing. What does that mean?
Action.
Yeah, it's a skill, right? It is yeah. So the word vasana, it means smell. Smell. That's what it means. So conventionally, like if you cut onions, right? You might have washed your hand, but later point of time, you feel the smell. So what happens is certain actions or certain thought patterns, it is going to create an impression in your system, which is going to force you to think or act in certain way. This is what is called vasana. You know how these rivers are formed, how this Grand Canyon is formed. How did it start? Anybody thought of this?
One small channel.
Small.
One small rain will start, water will start flowing a little bit. Mind you, one is hard rock, other one is softest water. Next time, little bit water. Next time, little bit water. Over a period of time, what happens? A powerful channel is formed. And that is what is vasana. Thereafterwards, wherever the rain comes, whether the water likes it or not, initially the water could have gone through any path. But once the channel is formed, what is going to happen?
It uses that channel.
Exactly. Thank God. In the modern world, neural science has made a lot of progress. And now it's a fact. It's not a theory. Right? The other day we talked about reincarnation. We said 1,000 anecdotes is not going to be a replacement for a proof. But here you have the proof. So what they say is if you start thinking about a particular way, over a period of time, what happens? A neural channel is created in your brain. And thereafterwards, your thought pattern is constrained. So what Shankaracharya tells is, Brahmaiva asmi iti vasana. This contemplation is going to create a positive vasana or positive stream of thinking, which is completely opposite to my habitual thinking. It will reinforce this knowledge in me such a way that, yeah, it's like a lucid dream. Lucid dream, I will continue to operate in that dream, but with that habitual understanding gone. So now I know that, yes, I'm operating in this body, but I am Atman. So this is very important. Evam nirantarabhyasa brahmaiva asmi iti vasana. So that vasana will be created. And when this vasana is created, what is going to happen? Haratya avidya vikshepan. Removing what? Avidya vikshepan. All that illusionary feeling you had. What was the illusionary feeling you had? I am the body. That thinking will be shifted from I am the body to I have a body. So vikshepa means projection. That is the characteristics of the Maya, right? Vikshepa and avarana. Avarana means what? I feel that my true nature is hidden from me. That is one characteristics of Maya. Second characteristics of Maya is what? Vikshepa. I feel that I am something else. So I feel that I am the body. So these two is the whole Maya. So this Vikshepa, the projection, false projection created is completely destroyed. And what is the cause of this false projection? Avidya, ignorance. So the false projection born out of this ignorance is completely negated, and he tell how. One example is given. Roga niva rasayanam. Rasayanam means medicine. When you take medicine, what is going to happen? The roga, the disease will vanish. Like that, when you have this contemplation, nidithyasana, your ignorance or this vikshepa vanishes. So we covered 3 verses. Again, we were continuing the topic of nidithyasana. So that covered. And also now few more verses are there. Shankaracharya is going to talk about from the first person, you can see the third person now. He's going to give us some instruction on nidithyasana and conclude that topic. So any questions?
I can only say it's super beautiful explanation with beautiful examples, Rajesh.
No, the subject is beautiful. I don't have to explain anything. It is Shankaracharya already written in that form. The glory of Shankaracharya. It's amazing.
But we don't know all that.
All the books, right? Means I was talking about Atmabodha Shatakam of Narayana Guru. Equally brilliant. It's in Malayalam, but 100 verses on Atma. Gina, you started reading that, right? It's very similar to this book.
Yeah. It's also tough. I mean, unless without an explanation, you can understand that.
Yeah, but the subject matter is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's chant these 3 verses. Okay. So I know 35, 36, and 37.
Ahamakashavat sarvam bahirantargatochyutah sada sarvasamassiddhah निस्सङ्गो निर्मलोऽचलः नित्यशुद्धविमुक्तैकम् अखण्डानन्दमद्वयम् सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं यत् परं ब्रह्माहमेव तत् एवं निरन्तराभ्यस्ता ब्रह्मैवास्मिति वासना हरत्यविद्या विक्षेपान् रोगानिवरसायनम्.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Bhuwanaji, if you could chant the Purnamada, we can conclude.
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः